Hey guys, as this is the end of the drama, I decided to put it all in one video. The boy behind me, I'll call him D for safety reasons. This was at the first day of secondary school, middle school. So I was listening to a random girl in my first lesson chatting to me. Then all of a sudden, D out of nowhere pulls my hair aggressively before running out of the classroom as quick as a flash. I let him slide as I didn't know him and wanted to have a peaceful time at my first day of secondary school. Then for form time, my teacher, Mrs. M, made a seating plan. And guess who I sat next to? If you guessed D, you're 100% correct. I was thinking that the seating plan was rigged as I couldn't believe my eyes. During form time, he pulled out a little rubber balloon and tried making it the shape of a peach, not the fruit, and you won't believe what he did next. He began sucking it and making questionable sounds for Lord knows what reason. When he saw me looking at him in disgust, he turned to me and said,
"Don't think you're so cool, just because you're tall."
I raised my eyebrow at first, and then I replied, "Dude, I didn't even say anything." During my art lesson, my entire form got an art kit only the people whose parents paid £25 for. Then this nice boy approached me. I'll call him, he asking if I could walk with him to form. And I said, sure. Then while we were walking to form, he was talking about his primary school friend and other stuff about his old friends. Then I had a great idea. I decided to ask E if I could sit with him in form instead of D. And he said, yeah, I don't mind. Mrs. M came up to me realizing that I was in the wrong seat with a confused look on her face. Actually, you can sit there, was what she responded before happily walking away. Too bad that happiness only lasted about 10 minutes until D had awoken from his slumber, aka D entering the classroom 15 minutes late. I wish he could have disappeared back into the slumber. When D saw me sitting next to E, it's like he saw red or something, because I have no idea what was going on in this bamboozled brain of his. Dude had the audacity to walk up to E's desk and shake his crusty, musty, dusty, rusty dreads plates that looked like they were made by the son of a biscuit eater. His hair was so messy that you probably find a whole ecosystem in between those roots. And when he showers, his hair be turning the water brown like chocolate milk. D went up to me and bellowed, "You sit next to me. Why are you sitting next to E?" Then I responded with, "Why do you care? Just leave me alone, please. I don't even know you." I don't know if he took it personal, because he after walked up to me and did this. He grabbed my art case and tossed it on the floor, and some of my crayons snapped in half. I ran to the ground and put my crayons in my art bag while holding my tears. Then he kicked me in the side of my torso, whilst I was on the ground. Then I lost it and aggressively pushed him to the corner of his table, and then he hit his hip and all you could hear was a loud bang. D began walking towards me until Mrs. M interfered and told him along with the other students to leave and go do whatever for break time. I'll report what happened to the reception. You go have a nice break time and don't let D get to you. I've got a PE class to teach," said Ms. M. He was waiting outside the classroom and asked me, "Are you all right?" And I replied, "Yeah." He said, "But you," and I interrupted him and replied, "I'm a wander around the school, see ya next period." My form, I was known as the weird kid or the kid with no friends, mostly because all my friends are in a different form, and I have no friends in my form. There was this one girl called Oa that always pointed it out, and when I tell her to be quiet, she'd make fun of my appearance such as my height or having clear skin, etc. Yes, I used to have acne, and I still do. When I told my friends about it, I said that we could ask the head of year. When we told our head of year, he just shrugged and went to his office. Oa got away with it, unfortunately. Then P was annoyed. During lunch break, I met P and L outside the school restrooms until Oa and La were walking up to us.
Oh my god, wait. Bluebean has friends.
Just ignore them.
While I was walking with P and L, La and Oa kept screaming my name in the corridor. Then La asked,
"Why is she ignoring us?"
Bluebean doesn't like you, fatty. Instead of picking on her, just go to the gym and eat tomatoes because you surely look like one.
La didn't reply and just glared at P. La went up to me a moment later and was saying that P was rude and that she needs to keep her big nose out of her business. Oa just kept side-eyeing me. I also didn't reply to anything they said while I was hanging out with my friends. Oa came up to us again and said,
I don't even know why you guys hang out with Bluebean. She doesn't even like you guys.
Is that true, Bluebean?
no, I never said that. She's lying.
Bluebean, come walk with us. Just ignore them.
Bombastic side-eye. Criminal offensive side-eye.
I was definitely not born yesterday to believe that nonsense. I walked back to my friends, then Oa got even more mad.
This is why you have no friends.
At least I'm not built like a twig that's fallen from an ancient tree.
Bug off, Oa. Nobody like you because you're a stuck-up little.
Then they began complaining. After that, Oa sashayed away with her little minions. Then Oa's friend turned to us and said,
I'm very sorry about my friends.
Then Oa called her and she walked off with them. For the next couple of days, Oa and La always screamed, Hey Bluebean, my bestie, to me every time they walked past me. When P explained what they were doing to my friends, we always referred to them as the brats in case someone eavesdropped on us. During lunch, P said,
Let's make the law a meal that she'll never forget.
P got leftover tomato sauce and bitten Maltesers and wrapped it up, then put it in an empty crisps packet. Then she got my bitten cupcake and mixed it up watermelon skin in a plastic cup. Furthermore, P ran over to the brat's table and dumped the food there and dashed off. While La was looking through the crisps packet, P and I ran out of the lunchroom along with our other friends. Then when we were running out of the lunch hall, Oa and La were chasing us, so we ran away from them. Then they walked away. A few days later, I wasn't in school, but apparently Oa told my entire class about me having a gacha channel. If you're wondering how she knows, it's because a few years ago, we were friends and I showed her it and she was being nice about it. Anyways, during the weekend, I received a message from E. He was saying how many of the girls in the forum group chat were talking about it and how Oa sent my channel to them. After that, I received a notification that some people commented on my videos. I was literally shaking in my boots when I wanted to open the comments. While I was opening the comments, I had realized that one of them were from SJ. As you probably don't know who she is, I'll explain. During year 7, I met her at the school playground during break time and we just became pretty close. And that's how we became besties. But as time went past, we weren't speaking as much, so I decided to try and make some conversations with SJ. The only thing she's really ever said to me was, let's wander around the school, and then I'd follow her silently. She also only really spoke to me when she wanted sweets or chocolate or gum. Despite that, I didn't care because she was my only friend and I didn't want to lose her. And during our computer lesson, we were talking about stuff we like doing. And when I told SJ that I like playing gacha games, her face dropped quicker than Izuku's dad abandoning him. SJ just began laughing at me about it. And then after A and SJ began dating, SJ began ignoring me even more. And every time I tried hanging out with SJ, this guy would stick out his goofy nose into the conversation and say,
Don't interfere in my relationship.
After that, SJ befriended Sin, and then SJ had just never spoken to me. Now you know about SJ, let's continue where we left off. I saw this comment and it said,
Your forum have found you. We will harass you for this in form time and in lessons. In art, you're dead.
And then SJ's new friend Sin joined in. And I had around 1,000 subscribers at that time, so some of my viewers saw the comments and replied to it. My sis saw me refusing to eat and just daydreaming at the dinner table, so she was asking if I was all right. And then I showed her the comments. We looked at their channels and immediately knew who the hate comments were from, as SJ's and SN's channels are legit their full name. My sister said she'll look into my channel through her computer and disable the comments. While she was walking off, I took a screenshot of those hate comments. I sent it to you and said, yeah, they found me. I think I'm cooked. And I was 100% correct, because as soon as I stepped foot into the art corridor, I bumped into Sin. And she screamed, OMG, help ITS the gacha kid, and ran behind SJ. I replied, it's not that big of a deal, man. Then Sin shouted out loud. As soon as we commented on her video, she disabled the comments. Then he kept kicking my chair during art while the girls would just laugh at me in the back. Form time wasn't any better. Adi kept making mean jokes about me, and then most of the class were laughing along with him. That goofy pizza face kid. And then every day, D would go up to my chair and either try to pull my hair as aggressively as he can, or pull my chair up while I'm sitting on it so I can fall over.
Try to say it better than me. Tell my man shut up. Shut up.
After school, I ran home crying to my sis. My sis recommended that I tell my teacher, whereas on the other hand, my second sis told me to ignore them in case they pick on me for snaking on them. I decided to listen to my second sis because I didn't want to get picked on even more. At school, ID kept making gacha jokes, but because I was ignoring him, they were trying to find something else to bully me about instead. Then he too joins him and makes fun of me having coily hair. And then he too and ID kept calling me pineapple head. I of course ignored them, but that didn't work. And for the history class seating plan, E2 and FC sit behind me while ID sits like across my desk. Then FC with his fungus-looking I wouldn't stop making pineapple head jokes and saying stuff like, I wonder if SpongeBob lives in her hair, and Pineapple Head closed those curtains because I had curtain bangs at that time. And when class finally ended, I turned around to face FC and saw that his pencil case was open. Then I got a handful of his stationery and held it in the air. Then FC responded, please give IT back, I paid. For all that, I could see the fear in his eyes. Then I yeeted his stationery in different directions around the classroom and sprinted off. After that, I saw FC, E2, and ID collecting FC's stationery around the classroom. After school, I had an idea and decided to change my channel name to make it harder for kids in my school to find my channel. Let's say I called it Spade as an example. After that, I was glad and felt more confident to go to school. I was chilling in the library until one of SN's friends came up to me. She called me my channel name. I ignored her. She kept making fun of me again. I ignored her. She did it again. Then I ran up to her as soon as she turned around and yanked her hair like there was no tomorrow. F was screaming, let go of me, beach. And I walked up to the bookshelf and threw her onto a beanbag pillow, and some of the books fell on top of her. After that, I sprinted out of the library as quick as I could. I went to let out my tears in the restroom, but I only had around 2 minutes until form starts, so I had to quickly walk over there. During form, my eyes caught sight of F whispering into D's ear, and I caught D glaring at me. Then D walked up to me and pushed me and was saying that I'm as tall as a giraffe. Then he just chuckled and walked back to his seat. Little did he know I was not gonna let that slide anymore. The substitute teacher saw me behind D, so he said, Blue Bean, what are you doing? I only headlocked him, then punched him though. The substitute interfered and made D sit next to him for the entire form time, while I was sitting in the back row with my head on the desk. When the class left for their next class, our substitute said that he's getting another teacher to sort this out, as he needs to teach another class. As soon as another teacher came in, the substitute said, I'm late to my other class because of these two, and ran off. Then D and I followed the teacher. D was wondering where we were walking to, and the teacher said to the isolation room. He was furious when he found out that we're both going to isolation.
This isn't fair. I didn't do anything at all. Her fault.
Then D ran up to me and tries tackling me to the ground. Then I grab his fingers and twist them outwards, and then he screams and trips onto the concrete floor. The teacher turns a blind eye and escorts us to isolation. The room was small and narrow. There was only one tiny window with bars on it and a translucent door. Dean sat next to a girl called Dyler. She turned to him and said,
You're here again.
Yes, fortunately.
Isn't this like your 4th time this year?
Yeah, because of this silly girl over there.
Hush it, Dean, with your dreads looking like burnt noodles drenched in soy sauce.
And who the heck do you think you are? Shattered Bluebeard.
Brew, go do one.
That's enough. Both of you don't look at each other.
But she started it.
Blue Bean, just ignore him.
I continued drawing me cell at utter and Dean out of boredom.
Wait, so you let a girl beat you up? Lol, you're such a weak loser.
No, my mum just said not to hit girls. I was being respectful. No, my mum just said not to hit girls. I was being respectful. My mum just said not to hit girls. Not to hit girls.
I just ignored Dean. The teacher, Miss Brown, gave us a sheet of paper to write our statement and why we did what we did. I just wrote 2 whole pages of why I reacted that way to Dean. Then I gave my statement to Miss Brown and sat down again. After Miss Brown read my statement, she asked to have a word with me outside. She brought a notebook and pen with her. Miss Brown took me to a nearby bench outside the isolation room.
So I've seen that you've wrote something about you being bullied in your statement. Could you explain it to me so I can tell the head of year 8?
After that, I tell her everything.
Oh my. I'm sorry to hear that. I'll let the head of year know.
Around 2 p.m., the head of year brought me and Dean together to have a conversation. Then Dee said,
"It's not fair. Of course all the teachers will be nice to her because she's always good in lessons."
The teacher just ignored it and carried on talking. The head of year, Mr. Eli, asked what happened and how did it start. Dean immediately pointed at me and exclaimed,
"She put me in a headlock and punched me. I couldn't even defend myself."
Then I responded, "To be honest, you hit me first and then you were calling me names."
Okay, Dean, as you hit her first, how about you apologize to her, then she apologizes to you.
"Sorry."
Sorry. Then Mr. Eli let Dean leave school 10 minutes earlier. Then Mr. Eli was yapping about how I shouldn't retaliate and if I'm being picked on, to tell a teacher. After the long chat, he let me leave school 5 minutes earlier. After school, when I arrived home, I see my mother on the phone. Then I hear Mr. Eli's voice on the other end. I heard him talking about how I hit my bully and then how he recommended that I get therapy for anger issues and how that I would have gotten a suspension if I wasn't being bullied for it. After the phone call, my mom asked me what happened. When I told her that Dean hit me first, she was like, "Oh, okay, that's good," and walked off. The next day, during school, Mr. Eli came up to me and asked for the names of all the kids that were making fun of my hair. After I gave him the names, he said that he'll make something up such as a member of staff saw them doing it so they don't get mad at me for telling. After that, Mr. Eli went up to me and asked about the cyberbullying. I told him that it's on my phone, so he asked me to bring it in tomorrow. Then he took me to some classroom and read the comment from SJ. He after said to send it to him through email. I didn't know how to send emails, so he just did it instead. Soon after, he walked off with my phone. Turns out that Mr. Eli just gave my phone to Ms. Brown, then told her to give it to me when school ends. During isolation, Ms. Brown gave me a computer to do homework. But as I already did my homework, I chose to watch videos and play video games. Ms. Brown soon gave me my phone when she was certain that Mr. Eli wasn't anywhere in sight. I loved isolation, even though it's meant to be a punishment for students. Those kids that were picking on me got a lecture from Mr. Eli. Then he had received a new timetable because he is moving to a new class to stay away from me. Then SJ received a suspension for 1 week. After that incident, I was too afraid to go to school with my natural hair, so my mom would always put it in box braids. During my science lesson, 2 of those students that used to pick on me offered to help me with my work and actually gave me the right answer, so I got a high mark on my science test. However, Adi was sometimes giving me glares, but I didn't really care. But sometimes we had to talk to each other because he was my partner for many of my subjects. We only really said a few phrases to each other awkwardly and then stay silent for the rest of the lesson. Or came up to me and asked,
"Why were most of the boys pulled out of class? I heard Mr. Eli shouting at them. Also, Mr. Eli said that you were crying in your room, something like that."
How about you mind your business? It is like between a pencil and a paper, so erase your stick looking off from the conversation. What are you looking at? Skedaddle.
Or just rolled her eyes and walked off while mumbling,
"You really thought you ate."
Of course I know how to eat. It seems like you don't, because of the way that you're built.
He just continued skinny shaming, or I think that's what it's called, and was telling me to not let some silly bozos get to me. After that, I stopped getting picked on. However, SJ's mom didn't like how much she's changed after finding new friends. So now she's being homeschooled. That's all I've got for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to comment your opinions on the video. But the thing is, only 4% of you guys are subscribed. So if you haven't, subscribe now to be the first to see the drama. Comment with purple hearts if you reached this far. I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace out, guys. Bye.